All right, so here's our quiz review for solving and graphing multi-step inequalities. Number 1 says b over 8 plus 7 is greater than or equal to 10. Let's go ahead and copy this down here so we have room to work. First thing we're going to do is get rid of this positive 7. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. On the left, these cancel out, leaving us with b over 8. And on the right, 10 minus 7 is 3. Now we need to get rid of this 8. b is being divided by 8. So to undo that, we're going to multiply both sides by 8. On the left, these cancel out, leaving us with b. And on the right, 3 times 8 is 24. So our solution is b is greater than or equal to 24. Now let's go ahead and graph this. It's an or equal to, so we're going to put a shaded circle on 24. And then since b is greater than or equal to 24, we're going to draw our arrow pointing to the right. Number 2 says negative 2 minus 7r is less than or equal to negative 58. First thing we need to do is get rid of this negative 2. So we're going to add 2 to both sides of the inequality. On the left, these cancel out, leaving us with negative 7r is less than or equal to, on the right, negative 58 plus 2, different sign, subtract, and keep the sign of the bigger number. That's going to be negative 56. Now we need to get rid of this negative 7. Negative 7 is multiplying r, so to get rid of it, we need to divide both sides by negative 7. On the left, these cancel out, leaving r. On the right, negative 56 divided by negative 7 is positive 8. And since we had to divide by a negative number, we need to flip the inequality. So this less than or equal to becomes a greater than or equal to. So our solution is r is greater than or equal to 8. Now let's graph it. Once again, it's an or equal to, so we're going to place a shaded circle on 8. And once again, it is a greater than, so we're going to draw our arrow pointing to the right. Number 3, we have 4/5 minus 1/3 x is greater than or equal to 3/10. So first we need to get rid of this 4/5. Pay attention. Sometimes students get confused here what to do because they see this minus sign and they think they need to undo subtraction. But this negative 1/3 is right next to x. That's multiplication. So we need to get rid of this 4/5, and it's a positive 4/5 because there's no sign in front of it. So in order to get rid of that, we're going to subtract 4/5 from both sides. Now, on the right here, when we add or subtract fractions, we need common denominators. So let's take this negative 4/5 and rewrite it as negative 8/10. And now we can subtract. On the left, these cancel out, leaving us with negative 1/3 x. And on the right, 3/10 minus 8/10. Different sign, subtract, and keep the sign of the bigger number. That's going to be negative 5/10. But we can go ahead and simplify 5/10 to 1/2. So let's go ahead and do that and rewrite this here as negative 1/2. Now we have negative 1/3 x is greater than or equal to negative 1/2. Next thing we need to do is get rid of this negative 1/3, which is multiplying x. And the way we undo multiplication by a fraction is we flip and multiply. That means we're going to multiply both sides of this inequality by the reciprocal of negative 1/3, which is negative 3/1. On the left, these are going to cancel out, leaving us with x. On the right, negative 1/2 times negative 3/1 is positive 3/2. And since we had to multiply by negative 3/1, this greater than or equal to becomes a less than or equal to. So our solution is x is less than or equal to 3/2. Now let's go ahead and graph this. So 3/2 is the same as 1.5, and it's or equal to, so we're going to put a shaded circle where 1.5 is, which is right in between 1 and 2. And since it is less than or equal to, our arrow is going to point to the left. All right, number 4, we see here that we have distributive property, so let's go ahead and multiply. We have 6.2 times negative 7.2 and that is negative 44.64. And then we have 6.2 times r, so that is going to be positive 6.2r. And we bring down the rest. So now we have negative 44.64 plus 6.2r is less than 3.72. Next, we need to get rid of this negative 44.64 by adding 44.64 to both sides. On the left, these cancel out, leaving us with 6.2r. And on the right, 3.72 plus 44.64 is 48.36. Now we need to divide both sides by 6.2. On the left, we're left with r, and on the right, 48.36 divided by 6.2 is 7.8. So our solution is r is less than 7.8. Let's go ahead and graph this. This time, our symbol is not an or equal to, so we're going to use a hollow circle, and 7.8 is going to be about here. So there's our hollow circle, and it's less than, so our arrow is going to point to the left. All right, number 5, we have some more distributive properties, so let's go ahead and take care of that. We have negative 6 times 5, that is negative 30, and negative 6 times 3x, that is negative 18x, and we bring down the rest of this. So now on the left, we could combine like terms, because negative 18x plus 6x is negative 12x. So let's rewrite this as negative 30 minus 12x is greater than negative 6 minus 8x. Now we have variables on both sides, so we're going to get rid of one. Let's get rid of the variable of lesser value, which is negative 12x. So we're going to add 12x to both sides. On the left, these cancel out, leaving us with negative 30. And on the right, we have negative 6 and negative 8x plus 12x, different sign. Subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So this is going to be positive 4x. Next, we need to get rid of this negative 6. So we are going to add 6 to both sides. On the right, these cancel out, leaving us with 4x. And on the left, negative 30 plus 6, again, different sign, subtract, and keep the sign of the bigger number. That's going to be negative 24. Then the last thing we need to do here is divide both sides by 4. On the right, we're left with x, and on the left, negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. Now, this sign is not going to flip, because even though this number is negative, we divide it by a positive number. We divide it by positive 4. So this sign is going to stay. So we have negative 6 is greater than x, but since we have the graph, we should go ahead and flip this, because that's going to help us to graph better. So we just turn the whole thing around, making sure everything is the same. So we're going to put the x here, and the negative 6 here, and then the sign is going to go like this. So negative 6 is greater than x is the same as x is less than negative 6. You see how the open side, or the mouth, is pointing at negative 6 in both of these. So our solution is x is less than negative 6. Let's go ahead and graph that. Here's negative 6. So we are putting a hollow circle. And once again, it's less than, so we are going to draw our arrow pointing to the left. All right, for our last question, number 6, we have 31 plus 8m is greater than 8 times m plus 3. We have distributive property, so let's go ahead and take care of that. 8 times m is 8m, and 8 times 3 is 24. So now we have variables on both sides, and you might already see something interesting taking place. Both of them are 8m, so when we subtract 8m from both sides, the variable ends up getting canceled out on both sides. And this leaves us with the statement 31 is greater than 24. So remember, when the variable cancels out on both sides, then you look at the statement. If the statement is true, then the solution is all real numbers. If the statement is false, then the solution is no solution. So here, 31 is greater than 24. So the solution here is all real numbers. Now, how do we graph on all real numbers? Basically, you're basically just shading the entire number line because it's everything. If it was a no solution, how would you shade it? You wouldn't, because no solution means that there are absolutely no solutions. All right, I hope that this video helps you to prepare for your quiz. Good luck.